Okay, I'll call the Finance Committee to order. The first thing is privilege of the committee chair. Anyone have anything of interest they want to discuss concerning any of the departments in our jurisdiction? Okay, if not, we have Robert Aiken, I believe.
Yes.
All right, who's going to give a short presentation on the new STAR registration program. So the floor is it's all yours.
Thank you. I want to thank you for allowing me to appear before you. Again, my name is Robert Aiken. I'm with the Office of Real Property Tax Services, which is a bureau inside the Department of Taxation and Finance. And basically, I'm here just to sort of talk to you about the STAR registration program. And hopefully, a lot of you got the letter from the state that has your STAR code on. It explains how to go about it. Just sort of basically going to reiterate quite a bit of those items. But back in 1997, when the STAR program really went into effect, so it's been quite a while since we've done anything with it, and it basically is the only state totally refunded exemption, and it's basically to help lower the school taxes for the property taxpayer. Basically, an overview this year, the legislature passed legislation that required all people with just the basic STAR exemption to register with our department.
Before you continue,
Yes, sir.
I apparently don't have a.
Hold on, let me see.
I don't have a I don't have a quorum of the Finance Committee. And for your presentation, the quorum is not necessary. The press is very important, so would you please continue?
Okay.
Okay?
So anyways, this year they just passed legislation, the legislature did, they require all people who receive the basic STAR exemption to register with our Department of Taxation and Finance. And basically there's about 2.6 million basic STAR recipients. There is two pieces to the STAR exemption. There's the basic STAR exemption and then the enhanced STAR exemption, which is for people over 65 years of age and making a certain income level below, which is right now $81,900. Those who are senior citizens or in the enhanced STAR exemption, they do not have to re-register. This is not affecting them. But in order for them to continue to receive their enhanced STAR exemption, they must either annually reapply or they got to be a part of what we call the income verification program, the IVP. This is what they do every year, so nothing's really changed for them. And then for the people that are the basic STAR people, they can call our telephone number at 518-457-2036, and that number is available from 8:30 a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Monday through Friday, Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. They can call that with questions, or they can call to register. The other way you can register is via our website, which is www.tax.ny.gov. The purpose of the legislation was basically to ensure that the people who deserve the benefit got the benefit. The state currently just sits at $2.6 billion quantity of financing. They just want to make sure it goes to the proper recipients. We did do a study, the Department of Taxation and Finance, and did see that there was a lot of unintentional fraud that was occurring, like people having the STAR exemption on multiple pieces of property which they're not supposed to. They're only supposed to have it on one, the primary residence. So we're hoping this will clear out some of this unintentional fraud that we found. Basically, the process was we collected all the assessment rolls from all the assessors at cities and towns across the state, looked at it with the basic STAR exemption, assigned a unique code to them, and then we mailed out letters. We're still in the process of mailing out the letters. My region, the northern region, which includes Montgomery County, the letters are out, and they all have those basic, that STAR code is up in the right-hand corner of the letter with the explanation of how they can do it. And then they just need to go on our website or do the phone call that I mentioned previously. It's the online process is somewhat, I think, simple, but sometimes what's simple for me might be difficult for someone else. But we've been holding registration meetings throughout the state to guide the people. I was just up in Gloversville last night. We got people at the city of Amsterdam tonight, Saratoga, throughout, we go around and try to register people they like to, and I'll stick around if somebody wants to be registered tonight too, I can do that. But to continue to receive your basic star exemption, a person must register, either by phone or through our website application. Again, the website application is tax.ny.gov. And basically, you click on the right-hand side, there's a little button, you click on it, it says star, and you go to a landing page which gives you all the information. There's a little video if you want to. It's about a minute long. You can click on that. It shows you all the upcoming questions and screens we're going to be asking. And you can then click on register and go if you got the star code present. And you just go into it. If you don't have the star letter code that we gave to you, you don't need it. You can actually, there's a little hypertext that says star code look up. You click on that, give them your name and the property location. It'll come back with the star code. And then you just go into the application automatically. Once you're inside the application, it's going to have some questions. It's first going to display the information, say, is this you? Is this the property? If you say yes, then it's going to go to the next question. It's going to say it wants all the property owners and their spouses' social security numbers. And then each of one of those property owners and their spouses is going to ask, is this your primary residence? And you say yes or no. And if it's a primary residence, you'll be one of the check marks you need to qualify for the basic star exemption. Then they'll ask you, do you own property? Are you receiving a similar type of exemption in another state like Florida? Massachusetts has, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Texas, California, I think Michigan. There's other states that have similar programs, and they require you to be your primary residence, so you can't have two primary residents. So they'll ask you that question. And if then the next question after that is you have to make less than $500,000 in income, combined income of all the property owners and their spouses to qualify for the exemption. If you do, you're done. Now, the next question they do is they'll ask you for contact information. Online will ask you for contact information in case there's a typo error or something doesn't quite match up, like your social security number, you typed it wrong, they can't find you in the system, and they'll contact you to try to rectify that problem. Then they'll just display a screen that shows you all the information that you put in, ask you to verify it. If it's all okay, you submit it and you're done. It's pretty simple. Right now we're averaging about, takes about 3 to 5 minutes to complete the process on average. So what we're seeing for most people. So the registration is happening now. It goes to the end of this year, December 31st. They got to come in and register for the basic star. We send out the notices. We're now doing downstate New York, the Hudson Valley, then we'll go down to Long Island and New York City. We expect to have all this done, all these letters out with star codes by October 4th. Then we plan on looking at who is registered and who we have that had a star code before and hasn't registered, and we'll send them out a notice around December 1st saying we haven't heard from you. You have to remind them that you should go on the website to register or use the phone number to call and register so that we can get you registered. Because if we don't, come April, we're going to sit there and send a file to the assessors and say you have to remove these people as exemption off the file. One thing that's a little different this from any other thing, usually the assessment, they move anybody from exemption or do anything to them, they send a notice to the taxpayer saying that I removed this exemption from them. The star is going to be different. We, the Department of Taxation and Finance, will send letters out to them. If they the taxpayer will then, if they have information to prove that it was an error or whatever else, they will submit that to us. We'll review it, make a decision. If they don't like our decision, we still say it should be removed. They don't go to the Board of Assessment and Review like most normal other things. They actually come to our board, which is the State Board of Real Property Tax, to file their complaint, and then they'll act like the quasi-court to make a decision whether it should be or not. So that's a little bit of difference than other exemptions. I already said we have to start a lookup code. If you don't have your paper with you when you want to register, or you get lost and misplaced it, or like the downstate people down in the Hudson Valley, they haven't received it yet. They can still go on and register even right now just by using that star lookup code. We have been doing a lot of communications. Our big communications of this is the actual letters we're sending out. We've been getting great television coverage and newspaper coverage. We've been getting down to the little local municipal like spotlight papers, everything else. We're really sort of surprised at the amount of coverage and information that's gone out. So it's sort of like hard to miss it. And also, like your county and a lot of other places in the local assessing jurisdictions, been putting up posters, put stuff on the website that link to our site. So the information is out there, and the school district's been helping us out also, since this is a reduction in school taxes. So we're sort of really impressed by the communication by the outside community to do this. The only thing that's a little bit different, every year you can have new star recipients. This is registration for those who already received the star exemption and that continue receiving it from 2014 and beyond. But if you're new, you bought a new house, you have to actually reapply or apply for a new star because that wasn't your house. That's still done through the local assessor. Any new star applications, they can get an application off our website, or they can go to the assessor's office and they'll have it filled out. They'll qualify them with the same questions. You make less than $500,000. Is this your primary residence? And like this, and then the assessor will put that on. And then come next year, we'll look at that and have them go in and provide us with the Social Security information for those new applicants. And then that's basically it. So the three big things we have for information is our website, the www.tax.ny.gov. You can register there. We got the call number, which I gave you before, which was 518-457-2036. That you can call for information and register. And we also have just an email address, which is just for informational purposes only, not registration, which is orpts.star@tax.ny.gov. You can just send a question if you have a question or something you want to find out, and that's just for informational purposes. That's basically all I have.
Marvin, you got a question?
I just wondered if you could mention, there were 4 specific penalties that came with this that kind of had more of a checks and balances. So where before, when there were violations, penalties for providing this information to the assessor would increase from $100 to $2,500. So the 4 different aspects of those were significant enough that to deter anyone from doing them. Could
You
you?
raise the penalties. At this point, I don't know those offhand on my notes.
Actually, I went online to do them. So the number of years from which a taxpayer must repay inappropriate star benefits would increase from 3 to 6 years. So it would be doubling the time. Taxpayers whose star exemption is revoked will be unable to receive the exemption for 6 years after the revocation. And an additional $500 processing fee will be imposed whenever an inappropriate exemption was granted after April 1st, 2014. And I want to thank you for coming here. So,
one other thing I want to make sure I say, tell your assessors that there's lots of times we'll get a person can get a basic star exemption, and then within that same year, this year, they can qualify for the enhanced star exemption. And we suggest that anybody gets that star letter with a star code, they should register no matter what. Because you don't want to have the thing happen, they don't register, then they go down and apply for the enhanced and find out they don't get it because they don't meet the income qualification or something, whatever might be the reason. Then they would be out the basic, and when they got the enhanced, they'd be sort of, they'll see quite an increase in taxation. The other thing is why they should register for both, even if they do qualify. We are going to send out, as I said, a notice saying we haven't seen that you haven't applied. We have you as a basic star recipient. Sometimes if a taxpayer gets it and the assessor says you qualify for enhanced star, that means they're 65 or older, then all of a sudden they get something from tax and finance that says, we haven't heard from you, you got to file. It could cause them to be a little jitterish. wondering if things went amiss. So it's probably just safety, it's better for the taxpayer if they get a star code letter from us, apply, then they go down and do the enhanced star, they qualify, the assessor will then remove the lower exemption, which is the basic, and give them the higher end exemption, and that will cause them from not falling in the hole of death where they don't get either. Okay?
Okay, Greg?
Mr. Icky,
Yes.
you may have answered that question already, but if you had a person that was on enhanced program already for say 3 or 4 years, and then they received a basic STAR program letter this year, what does that person do with it?
They are on the enhanced, they shouldn't receive a letter, they did something went wrong because there's a definite different coding inside this property tax system. And we're looking at the enhanced code, so you can't have 2 stars, you can only have one. It's either the basic or the enhanced.
Right.
So they were receiving it for years, they shouldn't get a letter. For some reason they do, something went amiss, and they should contact us and say that, you know, I get the enhanced, and we can look that up and see that they did, and if it is, then, you know, we'll make sure that they continue to receive the
So they should contact you rather than the local assessor? Okay, thank
They
you.
might want to contact the local assessor just to make sure, because then sometimes the people, the program started in, as I said, 1997, and a lot of people, I did the state fair, we've been doing a lot of meetings and registrations. A lot of people don't know what variety of star, they don't know that they just know I get which star. They don't know whether it's enhanced or basic. That's more vernacular for us that work in the industry. So someone will think they got it, so probably they're not sure what type they get. They probably should check with the assessor, or they go on online. All assessment rules are posted to the town websites. They can look it up, and it'll say when they find the name whether they have enhanced or basic. If you only have one, if they have enhanced, they don't have to worry about it because they'll just do what they do every year.
Thank you.
Okay. Tommy?
Yes, thanks for coming, very informative. Question, December 31st is the deadline,
Yes.
but typically, March 1st is taxable status date. And typically, they would have till March 1st, normally, to sign up for STAR, right? So if somebody did miss the December 31st deadline this year, are you saying December 31st because you're trying to catch everybody by March 1st and get them in the window?
Trying
Or,
to get them in there to run a process them.
I mean, will
We're gonna
somebody be able
process,
to?
and if they end up, they get the star exemption and they didn't file, and then we say remove, that'd be one of the things that would send to us, I've got the file, but I qualify, and then that'd be sort of the process where they would come to us and say, you know, I didn't file, but I do qualify, and then we would
And
look
then
and
that
say,
quasi
yes.
board would make that
No,
decision.
no, the quasi, then we would make a decision, yes, you do qualify, we'll reinstate the exemption. If we end up, they say they qualify, and we said, no, you don't, and they still disagree with us, then they go to that quasi board. But if we remove them, they would get a letter from us saying, we removed you because, you know, we took it off, and then they could send us the information.
I was just confused by the December 31st, that's all.
What we're trying to do is get it there, because then we're gonna gather the information, process it, analyze it, and decide who hasn't filed and who has, and then notify all the assessors so that they can then remove the things, and then give us time to mail letters to all the people we're gonna remove it from, allow them the due course of action to get it rectified if it's an error.
This is a hypothetical, a little
Yeah.
bit of a hypothetical. I know that it's also not only, you can only register once, so we use the snowbird of Florida and New York, but also needs to be a primary residence, doesn't it?
Yes, that's one of the questions we ask, it's gotta be your primary
So
residence.
just as a hypothetical, somebody has a condominium in New Jersey or Connecticut, very close by, but they come here to Montgomery County every weekend. They have this condominium that they own, but they don't get any exemption on it because that state doesn't have what we have. Can they apply? Because to them, it's
This is the primary residence they can apply to and say this is the primary residence. The part where they would run the difficulty, and we'll use Florida because they got a similar program.
Right.
And it says you gotta be a primary residence to receive theirs. So they say, yes, New York State's my primary residence, and they say, Florida, yes, that's my primary
Right.
residence. You can't have two primary
But
residents.
in a state where that's not allowed, for instance, say New
Right.
Jersey.
And they're not saying that's their primary residence.
So they can get it here, they can apply for it, okay.
It's only if they run into difficulty, they say they have two primary residents.
Right,
and
you can't
that's
do
fine.
that, no.
But if the state doesn't ask if that's their primary residence, then.
Or
they say,
even
well,
if it's somebody that's a renter, they work in the city in New York. I mean, what's their primary residence?
This is only for the other owner public right?
No, I understand, but if you're going by the primary residence rule, I could say I work in New York 5 days a week. My primary residence is where I rent in New York, because that's where I work. But I come home on a weekend where I like to come home. Am I lying if I say my home here is my primary residence?
There's really not a strict definition. You gotta be in the structure so many days of a year. It's just basically you can show that
Can't do
your
it.
driver's license there, or, you know, you get your mail, your tax bill comes to your mail, or you got stuff to show that this is your primary residence. Nothing saying that you have to live there 365 days a year, or, you know, whatever.
Okay.
You just gotta indicate only one primary residence.
Thank
You
you.
get a lot of seasonal property, especially here. People will be up in the Adirondacks vacationing for 3 months or more just for, you know, but their primary residence is down somewhere else.
I just happen to know younger couples who have bought up here, because they love it up here, they love to come here on the weekend, it's the only home in New York, but they actually live, work, rent, whatever, down the city, and can they?
Yeah, and those people, but we do ask if you own other properties in other states, like you found up in New Jersey example you had, then we might contact them and say, you know, maybe follow up, this is definitely your primary residence. I mean, odds are probably this year we won't, because we're gonna be so busy gathering that information, it's like a treasure trove of data.
This will start the new list of those that shouldn't get it.
Well, actually, we're, as an aside, we're getting so many hits, and we're finding out that, so we're amazed how many people never got basic that should have gotten it, and now they're applying, because there has been a big outcry or notification that we're getting 4 times the hits on our applications to be filled out to apply for STAR. So, which is, actually, it's okay, we want people, if they deserve it, we want them to get it. But they think, and we're also getting a big uptick in senior citizen, the senior citizens exemption, enhanced STAR. I actually did Douglasville last night, and half the people I registered didn't know they qualified for the enhanced exemption. Registered with the basic, and they went over to the assessor's office and applied for the enhanced, qualified, and then they'll get the enhanced where they never had it before. So a lot of it's just, a lot of people just don't know this is really, even though it's causing a lot of excitement, it's also getting a lot of people to look at what they do have and apply. So again, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay, anybody else got any questions? All right, if not, we're in a situation where we don't have a quorum to conduct business, but it can take less than a quorum to have a motion to adjourn. So do I have a motion to adjourn? Brian?
If John filled in, then not a quorum's 5, right? 95 or whatever.
Yeah, he still doesn't make it. All right, so I need you get a second? I'll second it. All right, all in favor? Brian did. I seconded the motion to adjourn. All in favor? All up? Aye?
Hey.
Can't do it.
Okay, listen.